Wow, these were two amazing stories. And definitely thank you for sharing in such an amazing, heartfelt way. It's an amazing way to start the day, David. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So my name is Dror. I'm from Consumer Physics. And we started with a small idea, and luckily today for us, it's become a little bigger. We're going to start with a video that shows a little bit and frames what we're doing. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit about our journey. And then we have a little demo here for you, totally live. If you can't turn off your Bluetooth, it will probably help us. Hopefully it will also work. So let's start with a little video.
The technology at our fingertips can help us do amazing things. It can help us navigate the world, know which restaurant to book tonight, or know what song is playing on the radio. But when it comes to the actual stuff around us, if you're not sure or just don't know, well, you're on your own. SCiO is the first molecular sensor that fits in the palm of your hand. It scans the molecular fingerprint of an object and provides relevant instant information about its chemical makeup. You can use it to log the chemical fingerprint, record it, and share it with your friends. Imagine if there was a way to know which watermelon is sweeter. When is that avocado going to ripen? How many calories, carbs, or proteins are in that shake? How your plants are doing? What's in those pills you were taking? Imagine if there was a way to know the chemical makeup of everything you come in contact with. The applications are endless. SCiO uses a tiny optical sensor called a spectrometer, which absorbs light reflected back from an object and breaks it down into a spectrum. The spectrum is then sent to our cloud for analysis, and our algorithm sends back the result to your phone in real time. Spectrometers are used today in labs around the world, but they are too large and expensive for everyday use. SCiO is a tiny spectrometer that can be mass-produced at low cost. What's exciting about SCiO is that it empowers us all to explore new frontiers right under our noses. You don't have to be a scientist, you just have to follow your curiosity. And every time you scan, you're helping to build the world's first database of matter. That has tremendous implications for research, for medicine, for education, for our food system, and for our environment. You can also get our development kit and build applications of your own. Join the journey. Get your own SCiO. Explore more.
So I want to start by speaking about the gap. What I mean by the gap is the zero information gap. So when you think about yourself, how you got here today from all over the world, you had zero worries. In your pocket, you basically have a supercomputer. In case you don't know, the technology in your smartphone today, the computing power today, could not be exported from the United States in 1985. It's equivalent to a Cray 1 supercomputer from 1985, could not be exported outside of the United States. So literally, you can go anywhere in the world, maybe not the Everest, I don't think there's reception there, but anywhere in the world where, and feel completely secure in a way you've never been able to do before. Any trivia question, nobody can stump you ever. You can always find out about if you're going to book a restaurant, if you have a friend somewhere, anywhere in the world, literally. Google has now given us inside views of museums, right? So literally there's no information gaps left in our society, especially folks like yourself, like us, that are fortunate enough to have a smartphone always connected, right? Well, we believe there is one final gap, and that is actually your physical world, our physical world. So when you think of the food that you ate this morning, if you take vitamins, if you take pills, guess what? The pill that you took this morning is different than the pill that you took yesterday. The food that you had in the, even if you have the same lunch at the same restaurant day in and day out, it's always different food. And you really, all of us, don't really know specifically about the specific thing that you're about to eat drink, touch, buy, give to your loved ones. So there is one final gap that we want to explore. And when we looked at that gap, we thought that we can probably do this using near-infrared spectroscopy. We took a journey that started about 5 years ago, me and my co-founder, Damien, that I've known for 20 years. And randomly, we bumped into each other on the coast, on the beach in Tel Aviv one evening. And we started to have some ideas. And over time, it crystallized into miniaturizing near-infrared spectroscopy. Well, that is a mouthful, I know. And near-infrared spectroscopy is actually science that is tens of years old. So it used to be something the size of a medium room in the 1970s. In the 1980s and 90s, it became a tabletop device. And actually, if you remember in 2011, September 11, if you remember the anthrax scare in Congress, actually there was a lot of money poured into trying to make this to the next level, to miniaturize handheld spectroscopy. And that evolved somewhere about 10 years ago where you could actually get a device, tens of thousands of dollars, that can actually start to analyze materials in real time. It was a little smaller. So we said, OK, so that's great. So we know that there is a feasibility. There is some scientific way to do this. But what if? Right? What if we could take these sort of sensing machines and make them accessible to us, to all of us? Well, you know, as I said, you all have in your pocket an Uber-connected supercomputer. Your supercomputer is actually an extremely fine-tuned sensing machine. Multiple sensors on the platform. And an interesting thing, there is also a lot of micro-optical sensors in your sensor. So just to give you a sense, at the early 2000s, there was a religious debate in the technology world about whether there would be or would not be a need for cameras inside the phone. Some of you might remember this, but today it's not even a question, right? So guess how many micro-optical sensors are actually in your phone? So there is at least two that you are aware of, I'm sure. One is the high-end camera, right? The one that you take photos of your kids, your spouse, you know, the surroundings that you share on Facebook. The other one is the front-facing camera. That's actually the selfie camera, right? That has become so dangerous that if you have a selfie stick, there are actually places in the world that you can't take a selfie stick because you might actually harm yourself. So that's two micro-optical sensors right there. At the beginning of the smartphone revolution, some of you remember, if you took your phone and put it next to your ear while you were having a conversation, you would actually start dialing because the screen wouldn't turn off. So there's actually another sensor there, optical again, that turns off your screen. And in some of the newer phones and in some of the new wearables, there are actually multiple optical sensors that can measure your body. So the expectation, the forecasts are that in 2015, there will be anywhere between 1.4 to 1.5 billion smartphones made. That means that there will be anywhere between 3 to 5 micro-optical sensors made this year. So we said, OK, there is a supercomputer. There are an entire ecosystem evolving around micro-optics. You know, we're engineers. Damien has a PhD in optics and physics and electronics. Maybe we can actually do something around this. So we did. So we're actually building the world's largest database of fingerprints for molecular sensing, for near-infrared spectroscopy. The architecture of the product is really simple. There's a sensor that's connected via Bluetooth to your smartphone. There are applications running on your smartphone. There's an entire cloud-based machine learning algorithm that runs 24/7. You press a button, bring the sensor close to whatever you want to sample. It senses something the size of about a pound or about a quarter. Within less than 2 seconds, relays that fingerprint to the cloud through the smartphone, analyzes it for less than a second, returns it to your smartphone. The entire thing takes less than 10 seconds, depending really on your Wi-Fi connection, if it's a 4G, 3G link, if you're in places where they have firewalls that you need to go through, it takes a little bit more time to analyze. But that's basically what this thing does. And this journey is not enabled by me alone or by Damien alone. It actually requires a whole team of innovators to do this. And we were fortunate enough to be joined by a team of people that really span the gamut of the sciences and the engineering disciplines. We have PhDs in optics. We have people that understand electronics, understand software, understand mobile application, and also understand the back-end databases, machine learning algorithms. We also have culinary experts on our team. So really it requires a full multidisciplinary team to achieve this. And usually I come from Israel, which is a country pretty small, the size of the state, the American state of New Jersey. And usually we suffer from lack of scale. There's really no market in Israel. We're kind of an island because we can't really do commerce with our neighbors. But in this instance, we actually enjoy the diseconomies of scale. We actually enjoy the abilities to be so small, because literally within less than 2 hours, I can have world experts in all these different fields and consult with them. Usually with every other country, whether it's the UK, United States, China, when you have all these experts, they are placed in disparate locations, usually centers of excellence. You got to either take a train, definitely it's more than 2 hours. Usually that actually takes you a day trip to find somebody that you need to talk to. Well, we enjoy really the the scale of our little country. So we put together a very, very talented team that did this and made it into fruition. As David mentioned, we launched this on Kickstarter. And Kickstarter, for those of you who don't know, is a platform to engage early adopters of technology. We were very fortunate. We didn't know if this would resonate, because as I told you before, I mean, who would have thought that we would be comfortable taking a photo of our pet and sending it online to 5,000 friends? Right? There was a religious debate if this would even be something we all would want to do. So we launched this on Kickstarter. Very fortunate. We got a lot of very excited community that is now very much waiting for the devices. We're now in the stages of trying to ramp up the manufacturing. It's a very different challenges if you want to do 500 of these or 1,000 of these, or if you now need to manufacture them en masse. And we were very lucky this to resonate not only with our early backers and early adopter community, but really across the world. So we had multiple awards, luckily for us, many, many press mentions. We had a history of really trying to do things as a journey that resonated with people. As I said, we started about 5 years ago. We went through a rapid process of innovation and prototyping and design. And it doesn't seem rapid in hindsight, but as you are doing it, especially when it is such a difficult technology to develop, it actually seems very, very fast. And we are now really ramping up the production. There is a saying in Silicon Valley, one of the most famous investors says that hardware startups are hard. Well, we are, I like to say, in photons, atoms, bits company, really a full stack company. So where do we go to next? So this is the sensor that we're going to try in a second. This is what it looks like now. Where we're going to next is actually here. So this is also pretty small, not as small I think as Avi's, but still pretty small. And this will eventually go into we hope, every smartphone out there. And today we can actually say that given the widespread adoption of sensing technology, wearables, internet-connected devices, that we can literally, with this device, over the next few years, touch billions of people. And this is where we're going. There are a ton of applications for this technology. And sometimes it feels like you're boiling the ocean. So we're starting with a few very targeted applications, mostly around food and pharmaceuticals, which I'm going to demo today. But near-infrared spectroscopy is used every day in labs that have to do with agriculture, mineralogy, so gemstone analysis, forensic labs. Healthcare is another one of the big use cases for this technology. Oil and gas, petrochemicals, cosmetics, many diverse set of industries have emerged or are using this day in and day out, but have been discussing with us the application for this, and it sometimes feels like a daunting task. So how do we even approach this? So luckily for us, through the visibility that we got, we were able to recruit over 1,000 developers to the platform, and this is actually the focus of our efforts now. So we're really focusing on shipping these developer kits to over 1,000 developers that are involved in anywhere from food industry through pharmaceuticals, and some of the top clinical centers in the world have got this device in their hands. Some of them are actually from Fortune 100 companies, trying to look at different uses in the industry. Before we try to close the gap together, what we're going to do is try a little demo. Everybody feels up for it? Yes, okay. So if you can turn the screen to the, okay. Very quickly, what we're going to do is the following. So, as you can see on the screen, we've got a set of applications. I'm going to turn on the device. This is SCiO. Let's see if it connects. 1 second. We're going to try to connect it. This is where the Bluetooth part kicks in. Now you know it's a real demo. As you said, David, live demos are the best. 1 second. Okay. So we're going to connect to this device. And what I have in my hand here, I'm not sure you can see it, but this is the most counterfeited medicine in the world. I won't ask you to guess. This is Viagra. Okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to pop the Viagra into this little equipment here that we have, an accessory. The reason is if I scan it with my fingers, it will actually scan my fingers as well. So I put the device on the accessory, press the application called Pills, calibrate this device 1 second, and drop the pill in there, press scan, and we're almost out of time, but I hope you can see it. What is happening now in real time is actually creating the fingerprint, send it to our cloud for analysis, and the result will be sent to the phone in real time. There you go. It actually sends it as Viagra. I'm out of time, but thank you very, very much for your attention. We made it.
You know, Dror, it was always my ambition to make a test of real against fake Viagra part of Wired 2015, so thank you for doing this. So there's two clever elements. There's not just the hardware, but there's the database that every user is creating as they scan items in. How big are we now with that database, and how big do you think it needs to be before this is useful in daily life?
So we are going to start with small data sets that we can collect on our own. And as you can understand, we are rapidly trying to enable the developers to create more and more database and more useful applications. But I think over the next few months, some applications will emerge or will already be useful to everyday consumers, not only to our early adopter community that will help us work through the kinks. And definitely, I think within the next 6 to 12 months, this will kind of have some really interesting applications for people around food, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, of that sort.
So this device is not the latest version. You've now got a prototype that's the size of a camera for this.
Yeah, so you can actually go and pre-order this device online today, but the prototype, and it's really just an initial version of this, which will look like this.
It's the size of the camera in here.
Exactly. This will actually go into cameras, and I can't comment much about how, the timelines and how and where this will happen, but we foresee in the coming years, again, having the first phones out, and then over time, many places where it's internet-connected devices in your home, wearables, smartphones, etc.
So we can say you're in active conversation with companies making smartphones.
I really have no comment. You are doing your job, I'm doing mine, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for showing us, and enjoy the Viagra.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.